This is a Clouds weather alert.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, coming on the air as we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in play for portions of Leon and Wakulla counties here until about 10 a.m. We're watching this carefully here in toward the Weather Center. We're seeing that there is some wind enhancement on the Doppler radar algorithm, so we need to make sure folks are inside and away from windows. I know it is Mother's Day where people want to be trying to enjoy things, maybe going out to church and the like, but unfortunately we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in play until about 10 a.m. So we have some strong winds, and that could get extended further in toward the Tallahassee metro, depending on how this kind of evolves on us here over the next little bit. So we have to be really mindful of that for sure as we're tracking this, as we're monitoring it here. I know watching this wind signature here over the last little bit will back this on up. And you can see how that was coming ashore here, not tornadic necessarily. We have a severe thunderstorm warning. There hadn't been a tornado possible tag with it or anything like that. But we wanted to make sure we got on here so in case the Tallahassee Metro was under a warning coming up for severe thunderstorm activity. But at about 9:46, a severe thunderstorm is located near St. Mark, moving north at 45 miles an hour. So eastern Wakulla and south central Leon counties until 10 a.m. We have Newport, Crawfordville, Shadeville, Leon Sinks, Hyde Park, Wakulla Springs, Woodville there, Hilliardville, 8 Mile Park, Tully, Marine, Overward, St. Mark's, Port Leon, Wakulla Beach, Spring Creek, and Bethel under this warning. So we need to make sure folks are really just inside and away from windows, but this could apply for the Tallahassee Metro pretty soon here as well. As I know we are watching areas of really weak rotation, but not enough to say that a tornado is, possible per se at this point in time, but that could change. I know we have to watch this. We have to watch some other areas here across the region as well. We're gonna keep on monitoring things here. I know we have the special weather statements checked on here. I just wanted to keep an eye on some of the other storms here around as well. Some wind enhancement moving up toward Waycross, maybe gusts to about 35 miles an hour up there. With that, we'll continue to monitor some of this other activity, that's not warned, not labeled with an advisory yet. But you see quite a bit of wind enhancement right here along the coast. Not overwhelming, but definitely a lot of rain. There is a flood watch in play for a lot of our counties here, so we have to be kind of mindful of that here as well. But a severe thunderstorm warning is in play here. I know it's already, been a long period so far with yesterday, and now starting things back up here today. But we have a severe thunderstorm warning in play for portions of Leon and Wakulla here until about 10 a.m. But again, this could get extended, and we're going to have to watch very carefully here in toward the metro. And let's go ahead, though, just be mindful of what's going on there around the community of Wakulla. Say Road 363, County Road 61, and then it's moving up toward Woodville here over the next little bit. So definitely something to be mindful of here. I know we've already seen quite a few flash flood warnings this year off toward the west as I put the radar on. And now let me go ahead and go to the broad perspective here on our other mode. I know that rain has kind of let up some in some of those areas further off toward the west here as we're watching things, as we're tracking things here. But we're just going to keep on giving you the latest last 12 hours. I mean, you see how things are really training over there toward areas west of the viewing circle. But, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in the viewing circle. But outside of that, there's a flash flood warning situation with multiple polygons. So these areas even got hit by tornadic activity yesterday, and now you see some of these oranges and red 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. According to radar estimates here over the last 12 hours. Some of that falling in a lesser period of time than that, though, as we're looking. But severe thunderstorm warning over toward the east here as we're tracking things, as we're giving you guys the latest. Of course, we're always trying to make sure we're on top of things for the 62 counties. We're in Bradford County. We're watching things for the 62 counties here. Any tornado warning storms will be on for. We wanted to jump in for this severe thunderstorm warning because You know, it is Mother's Day here, folks. Might get caught off guard hoping for the best, and unfortunately, not necessarily seeing the best weather toward, you know, maybe those church plans or other plans you might have for brunch and the like here as we're looking at things. We don't want you guys getting caught off guard, but other areas to the east are looking a lot better, like Stark Gainesville for now. It's going to change later, obviously. There's a marginal risk for everybody in our 62 counties. In terms of tornadoes, well, that includes most folks, a small risk, but not zero. But that includes almost everybody in the area. Hail risk here, a little bit pushed off toward the east, and then the wind risk, that's for everybody. Everybody in our 62 counties has at least a small chance for damaging wind gusts here today and tonight. So I just have to be mindful of that. So we're just going to be paying attention there. You see, it's a little warmer toward like the East Coast, but as you saw on that map. But let's go ahead and put some of the latest model run information in here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of throw that on in. I know one more look at the temperatures real quick though. Those trends you see around 80 or so toward the East Coast beaches, but otherwise 70s story. We're about at 76 or so here east of Stark right now. As we're looking, I know we only got about 3/10 of an inch of rain yesterday, despite that pretty nasty severe storm coming on through. Severe warning storm. But let me go ahead and I know we'll be waiting for an update on the severe thunderstorm warning toward Tallahassee, but I want to put the model guidance on here. So let's walk you through this. This is kind of what we're trying to maybe see here in terms of a forecast on what could happen. So let's go ahead and just monitor things. You see noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. A lot of rain, a lot of storms, some of these severe, some of these could even be tornado warned. Let's get you out about 8 p.m. here as we're looking at things. 9, maybe we'll get some clearing in here, but it seems like it wants to keep stuff around a little longer tonight. Maybe, you know, the pattern doesn't look quite as supportive of severe storms that are capable of producing tornadoes today as it did yesterday, but we could still have wind and hail for sure. This is around 10 p.m. I know we may not get a convective watch like we did yesterday, like we had a tornado watch toward areas west of Tallahassee and into Georgia, but you see here around 11 p.m., midnight there, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we'll have a thread to that Monday as well, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5, 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9 a.m. on that Monday, 10, 11, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, just for representation of what could happen, but trying to give you an idea of what could occur here. Getting to 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 o'clock on that Monday. I know we don't have the timestamp availability here. I could put up Z time, but I just wanted to go ahead and make sure at least you know what you're looking at each hour. This is what could happen at 9 p.m. on that Monday, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, then getting into War Tuesday there. It's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Maybe some of that's hanging around a little longer now into Tuesday with at least a threat. And that's about 6 a.m. on that Tuesday. So that's kind of the storyline there. Warning went away for a moment. We'll see if they reissue or not. But Super Second Pod, that if you were with me yesterday around those areas west of our viewing circle, I was showing it to you that we had purples on here and values as high as about 12 today. We see some of these oranges with values only about 2. Now we had some of those. We had some tornado warnings still in our area yesterday. Once you really, started seeing it in the viewing area, but the viewing circle. But you just never know here. You just have to stay alert. You could still get a few warnings, but this shouldn't be indicative of just an overwhelming scenario like where we had those tornado warnings out just west of our area with maybe even a stronger tornadic situation there. But let me go ahead and look at our significant tornado parameter. That's very low, but not 0. Well, as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things here, trying to give you guys the very latest to protect you, your friends, and your family here. Let me go ahead and zoom back on in over here toward this area. Looks like a significant weather advisory has been issued. Okay, so that looks like that's what they've done there for now for Tallahassee. Gusts to about 50 miles an hour. Convective moving in at about 35 miles an hour or so toward the north. So let's kind of set that to you on the other computer source here. As this moves up into toward Tallahassee, toward the main FSU campus, FAMU, and Tallahassee State College. As well, I know FSU classes start back tomorrow there for the next semester, for the summer semester, for some of you. So that's something to keep in mind as we're looking at things. Some folks may be kind of getting back into town, and this isn't exactly ideal weather conditions to deal with as we're tracking things and as we continue to stay FSU strong, of course. But as you can see here, looking significant weather advisory now, the storyline versus a severe thunderstorm warning situation. But again, that could change here. You know, if we see some type of wind enhancement again, that kind of tries to, you know, maybe escalate this again. And it's going to dump a good bit of rain in a short period of time. 1 hour rainfall. Some of these areas, you know, over an inch here as we're looking at some of these yellows and oranges. Reds, kind of, if you want to call them that. But you see some lightning, so whenever thunder roars, go indoors. Let me go ahead and look at some of the things here, the modes here in the weather center. Let me see what I can pull up here in terms of maybe some traffic cameras. I know the warning went away, but I'm going to stick with this a few more minutes just in case they go ahead and maybe reissue here toward the metro. If nothing else, we should be able to start to get some camera views from around Woodville. So let me do that. Around Woodville Highway there. We'll try to give you a perspective on what's going on. So let's go to the traffic system. Florida 5-1 view of our camera shot showing some of those rains coming on down, and folks with their lights on. It's a pretty slow go there, and you can see some reduced visibility for sure. So that's around Woodville as we're looking at the community of Woodville to be precise. So the town of Woodville as we're kind of tracking things with the perspective. So just wanted to show you guys that. And we'll get a little bit further up on the view. Just bear with me here. We're going to go Capitol Circle Southwest and Cropperville Road. We're not always used to seeing stuff go from south to north, but that's how you kind of get some time to your squalls in a tropical storm or system. You know, I don't want to say like hurricane, of course, that's possible too. And, you know, squally weather, tropical cyclone, tropical storm, hurricane, depression, whatnot. But these aren't that intense, but still, you know, some squally weather coming in from south to north here. Maybe a little easterly component as well. But here's a viewpoint. It's Capitol Circle Southwest and Cropperville Road. As we're looking at things, so you see some of the wet roads here, and doesn't look all that great out there. So just be very careful of the extra oils that could be on the road here as we're looking at things. Stay safe on the road, obviously. We'll go a little bit further up. Cropperville Road and Selfer Road. Let's go ahead and throw that one up on the screen. See some of these inclement conditions. Again, be very careful. Eventually, you know, this squall seems to move in through pretty quick the way it's oriented, but eventually some of these other ones may start to train a little bit more like the ones they did, you know, out toward the west there around Panama City. But just continuing to look at things. I know FSU baseball, they're out in California. If they were, you know, toward Tallahassee, or toward Tallahassee, trying to play, it'd be pretty tough. I know they won the first game but lost their second game there, but be trying to win that series today. As we go ahead and keep looking here, some more viewpoints. Let's take you to Adams Street and Orange Avenue. Throwing that viewpoint up here at 10:06 a.m. Just trying to keep you informed. Be careful on the roads, obviously. Just trying to effort some more viewpoints. Getting right toward the FAMU campus here, with some of these coming on up. This is Adams Street there in Magnolia Drive. Some of that camera lens ring there, per se, telling that story. I'm just gonna keep looking here. Let's zoom back in on the Doppler a little. Look at velocity again. That's some wind enhancement right there. Not overwhelming, no, but we are so close to the radar. Stuff may look a little weaker than it actually is in some ways, or Mr. so low with the winds in terms of so low down in the height that it could underdo them a little bit at this point. But it says winds about 40 miles an hour. The advisory is to about 50 with the winds, and I would agree about 50 is what the highest end on this probably would be at this point in time. Not really seeing much rotation, so that's some good news. Seems like maybe some weakening here as this gets away from the coast, and I want to see the instability real quick. And we do have instability further in, but there is some weakening of that from where you're at the coast. And some of those oranges, we had over 2,000 joules per kilogram, but approaching Tallahassee closer to 800, so that's a good bit less there, but not just a complete deviation. Sometimes you'll have it right at the coast and then not later in. But you see, even toward like the east around Stark, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Brunswick, you see quite a bit more instability, at least 2,500 joules per kilogram as we're looking there. And a lot of that orange area and then that red over 3,000 per se. So that could be a sign if we can get some more storm development over that way. Could be pretty robust later on with the storminess. Haven't had anything coming in, to cool us down out there. Out here where I'm at, around this dark area. But let me go ahead and keep looking at things here, keep tracking them. Let me go ahead and go back to the other radar perspective. We'll get closer in toward maybe the FSU area here in just a second. Bear with me. We'll take you to Gaines Street and Lake Bradford Road here. Giving you a perspective on what's going on there. Trying to give you guys a visual on what's happening. See folks using those windshield wipers there. That's what you need to do. Have those lights on. Be very careful, obviously, on the road if you have to get out and about on this Mother's Day morning. I know, there's no warnings right now per se. Still probably not the greatest weather to have to get out in right now, but I do understand folks want to get out, to church and the like. If it's not like a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning in play, like, there was one, there's not anymore. So if you're trying to get out, I understand, you know, it's a tricky situation here. It's not just complete, you know, where you have to be in an interior room if it's like a tornado warning. But Gain Street and Lake Bradford Road, another perspective here. You don't see a lot of tree movement, so that's a sign maybe some of these winds aren't reaching too terribly much here. It could just also be, you know, pretty isolated in nature where they're reaching at too in terms of those peak gusts, and then they kind of die on down. But 47-mile-an-hour wind speed there around South Point. Weather sim station there at about 9:38 a.m. In Wakulla County. I think that's the highest we've seen so far. But I'm gonna go ahead and switch back on over. Almost, you know, when I was switching things, I thought there might have been a little flash there. Not sure though. Might have been just some lightning in there. Again, whenever thunder roared, it is best to be indoors. Let me go over to Pensacola Street and Woodward Avenue with a perspective right now. You can see the slick roads tell the story right on the edge of campus there. Kind of just getting off of it a bit, but let's go ahead and keep looking at some other viewpoints. We'll go over toward Ocala Road and Pensacola Street. More slick roads here. Pretty calm, but you know, summer semester does start tomorrow for some folks there at FSU. As we go ahead and keep looking here, keep checking some camera views. We're gonna get toward Dewey Street and Tennessee Street. You can see more of that slickness there on the roads. See some of that water coming on up. Just a little bit there. It's a decent bit, but you see them kind of coming across. Looks a little more dramatic actually. On this side, not really dramatic, but compared to what we've been seeing, this is right there by the EOAS building there at FSU. You see a little bit of that wind kind of picking on up there toward Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue. And just kind of, you know, seeing there that rain definitely come on down. So I know we're also there near the Union, of course, as we're looking at things. But just speaking about campus, going back, you know, I was there, you know, when I first started at FSU, I was there during the summer semester, and you know, 6-week period there, and it was summer C is what it was called, but it was later summer, July, summer, and early August. And my point is, as we're looking at the situation, it was a scenario when you're walking across campus, you had to have your umbrella with you almost every day. Now we're not quite in that pattern yet. I mean, right now we are, if you get what I mean, but it's not gonna be, you know, we'll have breaks in that pattern. You know, we're not quite into, you know, where we're going to have the rainy season every day yet, as we sometimes can get in like July, but the storms that just pop up. I mean, we know how it works with the radar, but when you're having to get out in them, you don't even have to have, you know, strong storms to have a downpour just all of a sudden, you know, be right on you, where you have to have that umbrella when you're just on foot as going across campus as a pedestrian. So I definitely just interesting to bear in mind there, you know, as we're looking at things. But just kind of trying to give you a visual on everything going on there. See the trees blowing a little. It's not overwhelming, but definitely could see that rain picking up there a moment ago. See some of that water there on the road. It's also near the weather service. It's in another building, the Love building, and we're kind of, you know, it's a little bit further back there. It may be in that view. I can't really tell, but because that's the building right there, the new EOAS building right there on the corner. As you're looking at things, there's a little bit of wind blowing, it looks like, in there if you're looking carefully. But again, I'm just trying to give you guys the very latest. Oh, it's shaking around a little bit. It's not that intense, but you know, a little bit of the camera shaking here right by the FSU campus, and ironically the other buildings. So it's a pretty interesting start here. This is probably about the most dramatic one we've seen this morning here, right there by the campus. Be careful, obviously. Nothing overwhelming. There's not a warning in play. We're going to stick with this a little bit longer. But yeah, shaking around just a little bit here. As we're looking live, you see the traffic lights even shaking just a little bit. Be interesting to hear what type of wind gusts maybe they'll get on the roof of the Love building and weather service. Hopefully we'll get some type of speed. I could check the weather stem even. I may go ahead and do that actually on the Love building here. See what kind of gust they might have got. Maybe getting up there around 40-ish. But I don't know if we'll actually really see that on the weather stem or not. But just kind of guessing looking at this live. It's always hard to guess wind just looking at it live. That's something that really try not to do too much anymore because it's not that easy to be able to kind of, you know, come up with a number off the top of your head just based on how the trees are moving. But it was kind of picking up there for a moment. It's interesting to see. Still see some of that wind, but let me go ahead and I know there's not a severe thunderstorm warning anymore, but some strong thunderstorm moving through. We'll wrap it up soon unless we get another warning, but thought I'd stick with this system. The cameras through Tallahassee here this morning. You can see here a gust of 24 at the airport. That's not too big of a deal. Let me just see what I might have on that weather stem site here. And any of them around campus, the one in the stadium as well. As we're looking here, we'll try to get a understanding of those winds. Let's see if I can get the weather sim site up right off here. Let's try that again. Okay, here we go. We'll go ahead and see what we might have. Okay, 26 miles an hour toward the one there toward the stadium. Highest gust here in the last 10 minutes. I'll keep going through here. Try to get some more numbers. Just trying to effort the information, obviously. Going to see if we have any comments from any of the viewers at home here. Don't see any, but thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning in play. That's why I came on, but that has been dropped here for the time being. Not really seeing severe weather But we just thought we'd stick with it a little bit longer since folks out and about a little bit on that Mother's Day. So I know they're going to call this the NWS Tallahassee weather stem. So I have a camera view pulled up. I can't say that to you, but I just wanted to see if I could maybe get the wind number off of it. Try to get some information here. Seems like trying to just want to effort this on in here the best we can. 28-mile-an-hour gust there toward the stadium, but see what we had, going across there a little bit. Bear with me. Just trying to get some of these numbers up here. Always interesting with the meteorology. For some reason, I'm having trouble finding the actual numbers here. I haven't had to pull this up too much lately. I had the camera up, but may just be out of practice a little bit on here, but because we haven't had that much severe weather, quite honestly, going back there toward Tallahassee, and this isn't severe. This is a strong thunderstorm. We had to warn earlier, though. We jumped in for, but by the way, about 0.2 of an inch the last 24 hours with the rainfall toward the stadium area. Pretty quick downpour action. What we're talking about. I checked the FAMU number there, the Gamecock Stadium. They had a gust of 20. We'll check the FSU Rec Sportsplex there. See what kind of number we're getting over there. .25 miles an hour. How about the FSU Lakefront Park? Okay, only 10 miles an hour, so up there. Might be a little low, but let me see if we have if they put in anything here. Let's see real quick an advisory. Taylor County. Have some wind there right along that coast. I know they're pretty vulnerable to what happened with the hurricanes here in the last couple of years. We could have some gusts there, about 40. Could increase, and we could get some type of warning ultimately down here. We'll have to just wait and see. More lightning up here in Leon County around I-10. That wind enhancement is picking up a little. It's at about 50 there now. That's really started to pick up there in that last frame or two as it went across I-10 and is now just north of that. That's around, let's see here, North Meridian Road. Let me go ahead and check some information. Again, it's if thunderstorm warning expired that was in play earlier on. I'll show you some of the views around I-10 there. This is around mile marker 200 west of Meridian Road. You can see a lot of folks there, and especially as you're looking there toward the left side of your screen, quite a few lights, some even under the the overpass per se. We really don't like that, but you see there is visibility obviously, and it's a slow go for sure as we're looking at things there in toward portions of Leon County here this morning at this present time. Just always intriguing to see here some of these different visuals. Let me go ahead and zoom back out a little. So it's about 53 miles an hour here. Little pocket's been with us a few minutes. I wonder, that's kind of, let me zoom. Yeah, I bet that's what we saw around campus. I know you can't see it as well, but I bet that's what we were seeing around campus there. Some of that shaking there. Looks like could have been, wind that's getting up there a little bit more. Let me go ahead and look there for the power outage map. Only 14 customers so far in the city of Tallahassee, so that's good. But it might be a little bit higher in real time because it may take a second for that to catch up. But just trying to give you the latest updates. Trying to keep you informed. Yeah, for some reason I'm having trouble getting the NWS Tallahassee weather stem data to load. I can see the camera view, but as we continue to watch here, continue to track. Latest view says wind's about 49 here. This is, right around North Meridian Road. Heading up in kind of toward areas there. North Meridian and Bannerman Road in northern Leon County. This will get into toward like Grady County. Maybe kind of get into toward a little bit of Thomas County here next little bit as well. Some very, very broad rotation with this, quite honestly. As we're looking, not overwhelming, not enough for any type of warning yet, especially not a tornado warning, but I mean, I could see a severe thunderstorm warning on this eventually, but we'll see how it kind of progresses. But let me go ahead and see the graphics real quick. That's what I want to do. Remind you, this was 1 year ago yesterday. We had a terrible tornadic activity moving through. The 3 debris signatures at one time. We even had, a couple folks lose their life tragically. Just hate seeing stuff like that. Don't want any type of repeat. Still a small risk of severe weather through tomorrow, though. Maybe even we'll see if anything lingers into Tuesday. Hopefully, by then, the chances of rain will be dropping. So if we have any type of risk, hopefully it'll become more and more isolated. If hopefully even non-existent, but at least more and more isolated as we look ahead. So we've stayed with this a little bit longer than we generally would with, something that's not a severe thunderstorm, but just wanted to kind of see how it's going. It started out as a severe thunderstorm warning and approaching Tallahassee there. Had some pretty strong winds around campus right there around the new EAS building. That was just, strongest view of any of them in terms of the winds that we were showing you guys, it seemed like. So kind of intriguing. Might have just been, correlation of time and camera per se. And when I had those, obviously, up on the screen for you guys. But Check velocity here again. Yeah, 47 miles an hour. So at least they're not going upward anymore. They probably would have had to issue a warning. But North Meridian Road heading up into Grady County next little bit. Maybe a little bit of Thomas County with some of these winds. So we'll continue to watch and track here and be back on if needed. I don't think I need to keep the stream going right now. You know, I theoretically could do it like that, or we could just go ahead and wrap. I think we'll just wrap for now, and then come back on as necessary through the day, but if an ad needed. But see some wind enhancement here in Taylor County. Seeing some winds about 40 over that way, so we'll just kind of see how things progress here, and we'll monitor the situation. But that's going to do it for now. Thanks so much for tuning in, trusting me. We'll pop back in here as warranted through the day here and tomorrow as well. If an ad needed, I'm sure we'll be, you know, needing to be on here though from time to time. So keep it tuned. The Cloud Weather will keep you up to date. I see AJ there watching on YouTube. Thanks so much for tuning in there. And thanks so much for everybody trusting me here this morning. As you see, another storm, look like this kind of popped up real quick. It caught my eye. Looking at my information there, all of a sudden off the Tallahassee area, you could see storm in northern Union County all of a sudden by itself here. Not any wind Roy with it in terms of anything showing up, but we'll watch that moving into Baker County. Gonna be crossing I-10, maybe, you know, the Sanderson area next little bit, somewhere there, maybe between Sanderson and Olustee, Roy, but just something to kind of keep in mind here. We'll have to watch for more of that as we look ahead. And again, we'll be back on as conditions do warrant. Happy Mother's Day. Stay tuned and stay safe.